Electric Cafe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Electric Cafe. Today's album review is on Alan Parsons' project and their 8th album called Ammonia Avenue. As you can see, here's a couple copies. I've been a big fan of Alan Parsons' project since, when I was 6 or 7 years old when I first heard Eye in the Sky in 1982. I've always had kind of a soft spot for them, and I've always really enjoyed their kind of adult contemporary, soft rock, and their instrumentals, and also just kind of their honest songwriting and kind of carefree style of making rock music and especially instrumentals. And I always really enjoyed their music as I've grown up with them. This is their third time on the channel. I've reviewed their Vulture Culture album, which got a 54 out of 100, which I thought was a pretty good album. And then I've also reviewed Turn of a Friendly Card, which is one of their best albums in my opinion, and I gave that one a 65 out of 100, so it was right in between good and very good. And, going into Ammonia Avenue, I know all of their albums pretty well. Up to about 95, 96 when Alan Parsons went solo. I really enjoyed the 94 album. I believe it was called Time. And then I've needed to check out Alan Parsons' project in the last 20, 25 years. I to be honest with you, I haven't heard any of those albums in the past, a couple decades. So I'm interested in checking them out. And that's kind of the idea of doing this channel is it lets me kind of review some of the past albums and then sort of reinvigorate my interest in checking out some of their newer projects or albums that I don't know. And certainly Alan Parsons, a project, and Alan Parsons, Alan Parsons solo stuff has a lot of there's a lot there that I need to check out. So back in 1984 when this album came out, they were just obviously coming off their success with Eye in the Sky about a year and a half before this. And, when you go into the album, the first song, Primetime, which is a single, it's got a couple bars there where it sounds like Eye in the Sky Part 2, and it's, they're about to kind of get into a nice groove. And I kind of wish they would have kept that. It's just a couple bars in there, about 30 to 40 seconds in to the track, and it really has a nice groove into it. It kind of sounds like it's going to be another Eye in the Sky. And it kind of changes pace and becomes a little bit more up tempo, but still it's a solid track and one of the better singles of that period in my opinion, but not necessarily my cult. I would say my kind of dark horse favorites of Alan Parsons' project, but it's one of the more solid singles. Sometimes Alan Parsons' projects kind of goes a little bit into the kind of cheesy area and kind of corniness, like when I think of like Psychobabble is a single that I'm not really that fond of, and that's the thing about Alan Parsons' project is there's kind of a few tracks in almost every album where they're a little bit corny, and it's kind of possibly because, in my opinion, it's because of some of the lyrics. Like they almost write like Eric Wolfson almost writes like he's a poet. And which makes total sense, you think of their debut album, they wanted to honor and do a sort of conceptual album on Edgar Allan Poe, and so they kind of write their songs like poetry, and sometimes the words or them trying to be too, I don't know, if some of the words don't necessarily fit the music, and then you're kind of like, did he really just say that? That it's like it doesn't really seem to work, or it distracts you from the music because the music is really strong and the engineering is fantastic. You can always expect really good engineering on Alan Parsons' project. Material is obvious, and obviously some good mixing and some good music, playing, and a lot of different instruments as well. And you kind of get a nice adult contemporary kind of adult rock sound with Alan Parsons Project, and I've always kind of had a soft spot for it. It's kind of like my soft rock kind of cheese. Like I guess some people like soft, like yacht rock. Like I don't necessarily call Alan Parsons yacht rock at all, but maybe that's kind of my example to of what I would like, where other people would like Toto or you know, I don't know, I wouldn't say Foreigner, but but just that kind of like late '70s, early '80s bands that was kind of soft rock. Like Alan Parsons is my version of that because I really like the instrumentals. I like the engineering. I like their voices. I like the way they harmonize, and they generally have some good melodies. And sometimes they go into a little bit of a space kind of feel. Certainly on the later albums, and then also there's a little bit of, I wouldn't say psychedelic atmosphere, but they came from the late '60s. They were involved with Pink Floyd and stuff like that. So there's always a little bit of that. Sort of a, especially when you think of like Turn of a Friendly Card, it kind of has like a medieval kind of feel to it because there's kind of a whimsical kind of feel to it, and there's generally a good orchestra in the background, so a lot of strings and a lot of triumphant songs, and big drum sounds like in Prime Time or Don't Answer Me, like one of the singles was one of my favorite songs on the album. Has some big notes and big sound, and almost has like a Beach Boys feel. Like it really galvanizes you, and sort of like this is a song. Like we're making a big song here, and so you just get all this like strings and big drums and everything like that, and just very triumphant. Also, You Don't Believe is a really solid single too. But my favorite three tracks are Don't Answer Me, the instrumental Pipeline, which I really like, especially the sax and everything that goes into that track, and then also the title track is a sprawling uh, track that kind of ends the album with some really nice singing and really good harmonies as well, and really good, lyrics on that. Like I don't mind all the lyrics. I kind of like the catchiness and sort of they're genuine lyrics. Like they're honest. Like when they write songs and stuff like that, they're not trying to act too cool or, it's just kind of nice to hear like something that's just not too intimidating or too hard to listen to or too intricate or something I don't have to analyze. Like sometimes I go to sleep and listen to like John Denver. And it's just kind of like it just kind of calms me and makes me feel like I'm in like a grocery store in the 1970s and just kind of like that very simple life, small town kind of feel like John Denver music kind of gives me. And Alan Parsons Project kind of gives me a little that makes me feel like I'm back, 5, 6, 7 years old and sort of getting into music for the first time. And because that's when I got into music was like, 1980, 81, 82. So even though, I was finding my own music as early as that, like, I was also listening to the radio and I mean, there was a lot of rock music in this vein, you know, out in the pop charts, but I always thought Alan Parsons Project was a little bit deeper and a little bit more sincere and a little bit more better harmonies, more depth, longer tracks, more sprawling, less poppy, but still a good balance of pop and just kind of adult contemporary music. Again, I've always had a soft spot for Alan Parsons Project, and you'll see my scores on each track and then my overall scores on the album at the end here. But this is one of my favorite. I don't know. It's hard to say. I won't say where it sits yet in my Alan Parsons Project when I rank the albums, but I would probably say it's in the top half, top five at least for sure. But but we'll see when we get there when I review all the albums. But yeah, let's check out Ammonium Avenue by Alan Parsons Project from 1984.